There comes a moment in every human life when the applause fades, the opinions disappear, and the excuses become too heavy to carry. In that moment, there is only one question left standing in the silence. When no one is watching, who are you becoming? Not who people think you are. Not who your family hopes you will become. Not who your social media profile pretends to be. Who are you when the room is empty, when the lights are off, when the only witness to your decisions is your own soul? That is where your life is truly written. Most people spend years trying to prove themselves to the world. They chase approval like a traveler chasing the horizon, believing that if enough people admire them, they will finally feel complete. They collect compliments but lose confidence. They gain followers but lose direction. They build an image while neglecting the person behind it. But the world has never been the true judge of your character. The only court that never closes is the one inside your own heart. You already know the promises you broke. You already know the mornings you surrendered. You already know the dreams you abandoned, because comfort whispered louder than purpose. And you also know every quiet victory that no one celebrated. Every time you chose patience over anger. Every time you stood back up after disappointment. Every time you refused to become bitter. These moments are invisible to others, but they shape the architecture of your spirit. Life is not asking you to defeat another person. Life is asking you to conquer the version of yourself that chooses comfort over courage. There is an ancient understanding, found in many traditions of wisdom. The greatest battle is never fought on a battlefield. It is fought within the mind. It is fought between the voice that says, tomorrow, and the voice that quietly replies, now. One voice seeks ease, the other seeks truth. One promises temporary pleasure, the other builds permanent strength. Every single day, these voices meet inside you. The question is not whether they exist. The question is, which one you feed. A weak mind negotiates with discipline. A strong mind simply acts. Notice how the river never argues with the mountain. It simply continues flowing until stone itself gives way. Quiet persistence accomplishes what loud force cannot. Become like that river. You do not need to announce your transformation. You do not need to explain your discipline. Silence is often the language of real growth. There is something sacred about becoming stronger without needing everyone to know about it. The tree does not shout while its roots are growing. The sun does not ask permission before it rises. It teaches without speaking. Perhaps you should too. Imagine waking tomorrow with one purpose. Not to impress anyone. Not to outperform anyone. Only to become one step closer to the person you deeply respect. That changes everything. Because when your competition is yesterday's version of yourself, jealousy disappears. Comparison disappears. Resentment disappears. The journey becomes deeply personal. Every morning becomes an opportunity to earn your own respect, and self-respect cannot be purchased. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be borrowed. It is earned through repeated acts of integrity. Integrity is a simple word. It means becoming the same person in private that you pretend to be in public. It means your habits match your ambitions. It means your actions agree with your words. It means that when you promise yourself something, you honor that promise as seriously as if you had given it to someone you love. Many people believe confidence appears before action. But confidence is not born from comfort. Confidence is evidence. It is the memory of keeping promises to yourself. Every completed workout, every difficult conversation you refused to avoid, every distraction you resisted, every fear you walked through, each one becomes proof. And your mind collects that proof. Eventually, it begins to believe in you, not because someone motivated you, because you demonstrated reliability to yourself. This is why discipline is more valuable than motivation. Motivation is emotional weather. Some days the sky is bright. Some days it storms. If your life depends on sunshine, you will accomplish very little. Discipline is learning to walk, whether it rains or not. It is showing up, even when inspiration has gone silent. It is understanding that greatness is rarely created in moments of excitement. It is created through ordinary days, repeated with extraordinary consistency. The mind always seeks immediate reward. It wants comfort. It wants entertainment. It wants escape. It whispers that one more hour of distraction will not matter. One more delay, one more excuse, one more tomorrow. But tomorrow is a dangerous illusion. Tomorrow has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. People rarely lose because they lack ability. They lose because they underestimate the cost of waiting. Every day you postpone becoming your strongest self, your weaker habits become stronger. Habits are patient. They grow quietly. Whether good or bad, they ask for very little in the beginning. Only repetition. Then one day, they become your character. And character becomes destiny. If you want a different destiny, begin with today's smallest choices. Not dramatic changes, not impossible goals. One honest decision, one disciplined action, one promise kept. Never underestimate the spiritual power of small victories. The mountain is climbed one deliberate step at a time. The sword is sharpened one careful stroke at a time. The mind is strengthened one disciplined thought at a time. You do not become extraordinary overnight. You become extraordinary by refusing to remain ordinary today. There is immense power in restraint. Modern life celebrates constant expression. Speak your opinion. Share every emotion. React instantly. Respond immediately. But wisdom often moves differently. Wisdom observes before speaking. It listens before judging. It breathes before reacting. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. A peaceful mind is not empty because it has nothing to think about. It is peaceful because it has learned what deserves attention. Attention is your greatest currency. Whatever receives your attention begins shaping your future. If your attention belongs to fear, fear becomes your home. If your attention belongs to anger, anger becomes your identity. If your attention belongs to purpose, purpose becomes your direction. Protect your attention the way a guardian protects sacred ground. Because where your attention goes, your life quietly follows. Many people ask how to become mentally stronger. The answer is simpler than they expect. Stop escaping discomfort. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Cold mornings teach resilience. Lonely seasons teach independence. Failure teaches humility. Silence teaches awareness. Pain teaches appreciation. Nothing meaningful grows inside permanent comfort. A seed must break before it becomes a tree. Iron must endure fire before it becomes a sword. The human spirit also transforms through pressure. The question is whether you interpret hardship as punishment or preparation. Every challenge arrives carrying hidden instruction. Sometimes life delays your progress because your character has not yet grown large enough to carry the blessing you desire. People pray for success, but success without discipline creates arrogance. People pray for wealth, but wealth without wisdom creates destruction. People pray for influence, but influence without character becomes dangerous. So life first develops the container before filling it. Become worthy before seeking more. Do not ask whether the opportunity is ready. Ask whether you are ready. Readiness is invisible. It exists in your routines, in your emotional control, in your patience, in your consistency, in your ability to remain focused while others become distracted. Distraction has become one of the greatest thieves of human potential. Never before has the world offered so many ways to avoid yourself. Noise everywhere. Screens everywhere. Opinions everywhere. Endless stimulation. Yet beneath all this activity, countless people feel strangely empty because they have become experts at consuming, but beginners at becoming. Every hour spent mindlessly absorbing the lives of others is an hour not invested in building your own. The greatest investment is not in the stock market. It is in your own mind. Every book that expands your understanding, every moment of reflection, every conversation that challenges your thinking, every skill developed with patience. These are deposits into a wealth that no economic crisis can take away. Your greatest asset is the quality of your thinking. Change your thinking, and your world quietly rearranges itself. Notice how two people can experience the same storm. One becomes bitter, the other becomes wiser. The storm was identical. The interpretation was different. Your life is shaped less by what happens, and more by what meaning you assign to what happens. This is inner mastery. To realize that while you cannot always control events, you can cultivate the mind that responds to them. Freedom begins there. Not outside. Inside, the strongest person is not the one who never falls. It is the one who refuses to remain on the ground. Failure loses its power when you stop treating it as your identity. You failed. That does not mean you are a failure. You made mistakes. That does not mean your future has been decided. Every sunrise announces the possibility of beginning again. Nature never clings to yesterday. Winter releases itself into spring. Night surrenders to morning. The old leaf falls so new life can emerge. Why should you remain imprisoned by an older version of yourself? Forgive your past, but do not repeat it. Honor your lessons, but do not worship your wounds. Scars should become reminders of growth, not excuses for limitation. There comes a point when healing requires action. Not another explanation, not another reason. Action. Walk. Build. Study. Train. Wait. Become. The person you wish to become is waiting on the other side of repeated action, not endless thinking. Thinking without action becomes another form of fear. Action creates clarity. Movement reveals direction. Even a slow step forward carries more power than perfect plans left untouched. Many people wait until they feel fearless. But courage has never required the absence of fear. Courage simply refuses to allow fear to become the decision maker. Your emotions are visitors. Do not hand them ownership of your life. Some mornings you will feel powerful. Some mornings you will feel uncertain. Both mornings deserve your discipline. The sun rises whether the sky feels cheerful or not. Become equally dependable. There is remarkable peace in becoming someone who can trust himself. Imagine the quiet confidence of knowing that when life becomes difficult, you will not abandon yourself. When challenges appear, you will remain steady. When temptation arrives, you will remember your values. When fatigue whispers surrender, you will remember your purpose. Purpose is stronger than emotion. Emotion changes with the weather of life. Purpose remains like the mountain, unmoved by the passing clouds. If your life is built on how you feel, then every difficult season will shake your foundation. But if your life is built on what you have chosen to become, then even the strongest winds cannot uproot you. There is a quiet strength that develops when you stop asking life to become easier and begin asking yourself to become stronger. Think about that for a moment. So much of human suffering comes from the belief that the world should arrange itself according to our comfort. We expect smooth roads, understanding people, perfect timing, and ideal circumstances. But reality has never promised these things. Reality simply asks one question. Can you remain centered even when everything around you is changing? Can you stay patient when progress is invisible? Can you stay kind when bitterness would be easier? Can you stay disciplined when nobody would know if you chose not to? These are the moments that reveal your true level of mastery. The greatest transformations rarely happen during dramatic events. They happen quietly. A decision made before sunrise. A temptation resisted in silence. An hour invested in learning while everyone else seeks entertainment. A calm response instead of an angry reaction. No audience, no applause, no recognition. Only the invisible construction of a stronger soul. Never underestimate what is happening inside you simply because nobody else can see it. The roots of the strongest tree spend years growing beneath the surface before anyone admires its height. People celebrate the harvest, but ignore the seasons of cultivation. They admire the fruit without respecting the patience that created it. Do not become discouraged if your progress is hidden. High growth is often the deepest growth. Your mind is like a garden. Every thought is a seed. Every repeated belief becomes a plant. Every habit becomes part of the landscape. If you leave the garden unattended, weeds do not ask permission before they grow. Negative thinking works the same way. Self-doubt, resentment, excuses, fear. These thoughts do not become powerful overnight. They become powerful because they are repeated. The mind believes what it hears most often. That is why you must become careful with the conversations you have with yourself. How many dreams have died because someone whispered, "I'm not good enough"? How many opportunities disappeared because someone believed they were too late? How many extraordinary lives remained ordinary because fear sounded more convincing than faith? The voice inside your mind becomes your closest companion. Make sure it speaks the language of truth. Truth is not blind optimism. Truth does not pretend difficulties do not exist. Truth simply refuses to let temporary obstacles define permanent identity. You are not your worst day. You are not your greatest failure. You are not the opinion someone formed about you during one chapter of your life. Human beings are constantly becoming. The person you were 5 years ago no longer exists. The person you will become 5 years from now is being shaped by the decisions you make today. This moment matters more than you realize, not because it is dramatic, because it is ordinary. Life is built inside ordinary moments. The extraordinary is simply the result of ordinary moments honored with extraordinary consistency. Do not search for a breakthrough while ignoring your daily habits. Habits are your future, wearing simple clothes. Every repeated action is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose discipline, you vote for strength. When you choose honesty, you vote for integrity. When you choose patience, you vote for wisdom. When you choose focus, you vote for excellence. Eventually, the votes become undeniable. Your identity changes. People often ask how to change their lives. Perhaps the better question is how to change today's decisions. Because tomorrow is nothing more than today's choices repeated. Your future is quietly hiding inside your routine. If your routine remains unchanged, why should your life be different? Transformation is not magic. It is mathematics. Small improvements multiplied by time create astonishing results. One page read every day becomes libraries of knowledge. One disciplined workout becomes years of health. 1 hour of focused practice becomes mastery. One act of kindness each day becomes a compassionate character. Never despise small beginnings. The ocean itself is made of drops. There is another lesson that many overlook. Strength is not hardness. Some people mistake emotional numbness for resilience. They believe becoming strong means feeling nothing. But true strength is different. True strength allows you to feel deeply without becoming controlled by what you feel. You can experience sadness without surrendering hope. You can experience fear without abandoning courage. You can experience disappointment without losing faith. Emotions are natural. Slavery to emotions is optional. Master yourself before attempting to master anything else. A person who cannot govern his own thoughts will eventually become governed by circumstances. When circumstances are favorable, he smiles. When circumstances become difficult, he collapses. His peace depends entirely on what happens outside him. But there is another way to live. Imagine carrying your peace within you, instead of searching for it outside yourself. Imagine entering every room without needing approval. Imagine accomplishing your work without needing constant praise. Imagine becoming so deeply rooted in your values that criticism no longer distracts you and compliments no longer intoxicate you. This is freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is no longer being controlled by every impulse that appears. The undisciplined mind mistakes desire for necessity. It believes every craving deserves satisfaction. But every craving obeyed becomes another chain. Every craving resisted becomes another step toward liberation. Look closely at the people who inspire you most. Their greatness was not created by talent alone. Talent may open a door. Discipline determines whether they remain inside. Natural ability can impress people. Character earns lasting respect. There are countless gifted people living lives far beneath their potential because they relied on inspiration instead of consistency. At the same time, there are ordinary people accomplishing extraordinary things because they learned the secret of showing up every single day. Do not envy talent. Build discipline. Discipline eventually accomplishes what talent alone cannot sustain. Patience is another forgotten form of power. We live in a world obsessed with speed, instant messages, instant entertainment, instant opinions, instant gratification. The soul, however, has never moved according to the clock. Real growth cannot be rushed. You cannot force wisdom. You cannot hurry maturity. You cannot command trust. Some things require seasons. Consider the bamboo that remains almost invisible for years before suddenly rising toward the sky. People think the miracle happened overnight. They never saw the years spent strengthening the unsung foundation. Your life may feel like that. Perhaps you have been working quietly, learning, healing, practicing, growing. Yet the visible results seem delayed. Do not mistake delay for denial. Some foundations require more depth because they are preparing to carry greater weight. Continue your work. The seasons always change. Another trap the mind creates is the desire to be understood by everyone. Relinquish that burden. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Some people only recognize success after it becomes obvious. They cannot see the invisible battles. They do not witness the discipline required to overcome laziness. They do not see the tears hidden behind determination. They only notice the outcome. That is acceptable. Your responsibility is not to explain your path. Your responsibility is to walk it. Silence often protects what constant explanation weakens. There is power in allowing your actions to become your loudest words. Speak less. Observe more. Complain less. Improve more. Mourn less. Deliver more. This quiet way of living develops an unshakable confidence because it is rooted in evidence rather than appearance. You begin trusting yourself. And once you trust yourself, something extraordinary begins to happen. Fear starts losing its authority. Not because uncertainty disappears, because your relationship with uncertainty changes. You realize that whatever comes, you possess the ability to adapt. Adaptation is one of the greatest expressions of strength. Water never argues with the shape of its container. It simply continues flowing. Be like that. Flexible without losing your essence. Gentle without becoming weak. Calm without becoming passive. Strong without becoming arrogant. There is no contradiction between humility and confidence. The strongest people rarely feel the need to convince anyone of their strength. The tallest mountains make no announcement. The deepest oceans remain quiet on the surface. True power has no interest in performance. It is secure. It does not need constant validation because it has already been accepted within. One of the greatest signs of maturity is learning to delay gratification. Children chase what feels good now. Wise people consider what will still matter years from now. Every meaningful achievement asks for sacrifice. Not because life is cruel, because sacrifice reveals priorities. Whenever you say yes to one path, you naturally say no to another. Every hour invested in your future is an hour not spent escaping into distraction. Every disciplined choice carries a hidden price. But every careless choice does as well. The difference is that discipline costs you now and rewards you later. Neglect rewards you now and costs you later. Choose your difficulty wisely. Life offers no path without effort. One effort builds you. The other slowly weakens you. As the years pass, people become the sum of what they repeatedly tolerated. The standards you accept become the limits of your life. If you tolerate excuses, excuses become your lifestyle. If you tolerate dishonesty, your integrity slowly erodes. If you tolerate mediocrity, excellence quietly walks away. Rise your standards, not for the sake of pride, but out of respect for the life you have been given. Every sunrise places another 24 hours into your hands. Not 1 minute more, not 1 minute less. The question is never whether you have enough time. The question is whether you are awake enough to recognize its value. Time is unlike money. Money can return. Time never negotiates. It simply moves forward, carrying your opportunities with it. One day, you will look back and realize that the smallest decisions were never actually small. They became the story of who you became. And in that realization, another question will quietly emerge from the deepest part of your heart. Will you become someone you admire or someone you spent your life explaining? That question is too important to ignore. There will always be reasons to wait. There will always be people who doubt you. There will always be circumstances that seem unfair. Life will never stop presenting obstacles, because obstacles are not interruptions to your path. They are part of your path. They are the mirror that reveals who you are becoming. When the wind grows stronger, weak roots are exposed. When life becomes difficult, weak habits are exposed. Do not fear those moments. Welcome them. Every challenge is an invitation to discover strength you did not know you possessed. There are parts of you that will never awaken inside comfort. There is courage sleeping within you that only uncertainty can awaken. There is patience hidden within you that only waiting can reveal. There is wisdom waiting within you that only silence can uncover. Stop asking why the road is difficult. Begin asking what the road is teaching you. Some of your greatest lessons will never arrive wrapped in happiness. They will arrive wearing the face of disappointment. They will arrive through failure, through loneliness, through moments when you wonder whether all your effort is worth it. And yet, if you remain faithful to your purpose, one day you will look back and realize those moments did not come to destroy you. They came to remove everything that was never truly you. The fear, the pride, the dependence on approval, the habit of quitting, the belief that you needed perfect conditions before you could begin. What remains after those illusions fall away is something much stronger. A person who no longer needs to pretend. A person who no longer runs from difficulty. A person whose confidence is built from experience rather than opinion. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away. It is earned one decision at a time. Understand this deeply. Your greatest enemy is rarely outside of you. It is the voice that tells you to settle. The voice that whispers, "This is enough." The voice that convinces you that your potential can wait another day. Do not hate that voice. Recognize it, smile at it, and then continue walking. Every step you take in spite of resistance weakens its influence. Eventually, the voice that once controlled you becomes nothing more than distant noise. Another voice begins to grow louder. It is calm, steady, potent. It does not shout. It simply reminds you who you are capable of becoming. Protect that voice. Feed it with action. Strengthen it with discipline. Honor it with consistency. Because that voice is the deepest truth within you. There will be days when nobody notices your effort. Keep going. There will be days when your progress feels invisible. Keep going. There will be days when you question yourself. Keep going. Not because success is guaranteed, because becoming a person who refuses to quit is already a victory. Your character is being written every single day, not on the days when everything is easy. On the days when giving up would have been understandable. Those are the days that define you. Those are the days that quietly shape your destiny. Never forget that every morning gives you a choice. You can repeat yesterday without thinking, or you can consciously become someone new. The choice is rarely dramatic. It lives inside the first decision. Will you rise when the alarm rings? Will you keep the promise you made to yourself? Will you choose growth over comfort? Will you speak with honesty? Will you control your temper? Will you finish what you started? Great lives are built from ordinary moments, answered with extraordinary commitment. One day, years from now, someone may look at your life and call you disciplined. They will call you resilient. They will call you successful. But they will never see the mornings when you wanted to quit. They will never see the tears you refused to let become excuses. They will never see the lonely hours spent building yourself while the world was asleep. That is the nature of true greatness. People admire the result. Very few understand the price. Pay the price anyway. Not for recognition, not for status, not to prove anyone wrong. Do it. Because there is something sacred about becoming the fullest expression of the life you have been given. Imagine meeting the person you could have become if you had refused every unnecessary excuse. Imagine looking into the eyes of that version of yourself. Would you recognize them? Or would you realize they spent years waiting for you to begin? That future is not created by hope alone. It is created by choices, thousands of them. Quiet choices, difficult choices, faithful choices, the kind nobody applauds, until one day the world calls you extraordinary, unaware that you simply refuse to betray your own potential. Never compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Walk your own road, move at your own pace, honor your own journey. A river never competes with another river. It simply continues flowing toward the ocean. Do the same. Your purpose is not to become another person. Your purpose is to become completely yourself, not the self shaped by fear, not the self controlled by habit, not the self imprisoned by doubt, the self that stands with quiet confidence, the self that chooses discipline even when comfort calls, the self that remains humble in victory and composed in defeat, the self that no longer needs the world's permission to live with courage. That is freedom. That is strength. That is peace. Remember this whenever life becomes confusing. You do not need to have every answer before taking the next step. You only need enough courage to take it. The path reveals itself to those who continue walking. Do not waste your life waiting for certainty. Act with integrity. Move with purpose. Speak with kindness. Think with clarity. Work with devotion. Rest without guilt when your work is honestly done. Then rise again, again and again, until discipline becomes your nature, until excellence becomes your habit, until peace becomes your companion, until the person in the mirror is someone you trust completely. Because in the end, the greatest achievement is not wealth. It is not fame. It is not power. The greatest achievement is becoming a human being who cannot be purchased by comfort, distracted by noise, broken by failure, or defined by the opinions of others. A human being who has learned to govern the only life they were ever truly given, your own. So, from this moment forward, make a quiet promise, not to the world, not to your critics, not even to those who believe in you. Make it to yourself, Borst, that you will no longer abandon your own potential. Borst, that your words and your actions will become one. Promise that each sunrise will find you a little more awake, a little more disciplined, a little more patient, a little more grateful than the day before. And if you stumble, stand. If you fail, learn. If you become tired, rest with intention, but do not surrender. Because every day you choose self-mastery, you reshape your destiny. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your spirit. Every disciplined action plants the seeds of a future your present self can barely imagine. The world may or may not notice your transformation. That was never the point. The point is that one day, in the silence where no applause exists, you will meet your own reflection without regret. You will know that you did not waste the gift of your life. You will know that you faced your fears instead of feeding them. You will know that you became stronger than your excuses, wiser than your impulses, calmer than your circumstances, and greater than the limitations you once believed defined you. And in that quiet moment, without needing to say a single word, you will have accomplished the only victory that truly matters. You proved yourself to yourself.